people who work equally as hard or even harder than the team here at CBC when it comes to essential work, particularly around this time of year that we call hurricane season. And that, of course, will be the people over at the Department of Emergency Management. I was just joking with Mr. Selwyn Books that I only get to see him around this time of year. So good morning to you, Selwyn. Good to have you with us.
Good morning. It's nice to be here.
Good stuff. Now, he's a consultant with the Department of Emergency Management. And we want to talk a little bit about a seminar that's coming up. It's called Tsunami Ready for the West Coast.
That's correct.
Was it important for us to talk specifically about tsunami readiness in general?
The country is currently undergoing a process of how we can sensitize persons, especially those that are on the coastal, the need to be tsunami ready. In this program, we are focusing on the West Coast, in particular Porters to Batsrock, which forms part of the major hotels along the West Coast. And it is an initiative as together with the Tsunami Accreditation Program for that area, and how we can sensitize Barbadians in general, but we are focusing on this seminar and the hotel, villas, large property owners, so that they can come out and hear how they can learn or practice what they need to do in the event that tsunami comes a-calling.
When we talk about readiness, you know, and sensitization, is there any thing in place that says to villa owners or you know, rental properties, smaller boutique hotels or larger hotels, that they have to have a plan in place when it comes to these types of emergency matters?
Yes, it is. It is not mandatory to my knowledge, but nevertheless, I think it is prudent that persons recognize that you have a property, you have a business, you have a hotel, that we can't stop the hazards like a tsunami, but we can most certainly seek to prepare for it so that we can respond and that we can recover as quickly after with the least level of inconvenience. And if it is that the hotels, especially in Barbados, where we depend so heavily on the economic value that the hotel sector brings to our country, it is very important that the large property owners, the villas, managers, and all persons connected with that sector recognize that along the coastal plains you are susceptible to tsunami or storm surge activity, and therefore you need to take proactive steps that you can prevent or minimize the damage as a result of it, and prepare your staff and how they can respond. And when we look at the hotel sector, the majority of the occupants are not Barbadians. So therefore they will not know where to go and what to do. So it is the onus is on the management of these properties to inform first the staff, so the staff will know what they have to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and then transfer that information to their guests so that we can reduce the loss of life and also to make sure that they can recover as quickly as possible after the impact.
Sometimes to get people on board, I think they have to feel as though what might happen could happen. It could even be a possibility. And I feel like a lot of Barbadians don't feel like a tsunami maybe never can happen here. But I'm happy you mentioned storm surge. And we most certainly know what storm surge can do.
Yes.
So it truly is important. In recent years, we've had a number of facilities across the West Coast that have been ravaged, as you mentioned, in that same area by strong storm surge. Why is the West Coast particularly susceptible?
You'll find that a lot of the properties are very close to the shoreline. It's a relatively flat area, and even the last couple of months when we, as you say, we had some swells, the water would have come ashore quite a considerable distance, and that is just a normal sea swell. So therefore, the terrain, because it is flat, because it has an abundance of properties that are actually adjoining each other, it is very important that we recognize also on that highway is one of the main arteries in and out of Bridgetown. So these are the challenges that we have to consider, It is a very, in this area alone, we have approximately 1,700 properties in this Bastrop to Portus area. And there are high-end properties, there are large properties, and there are the occupants of these properties. The majority of them are not Barbadians. So that increases the risk because they will not know exactly where to go and how to go there. And this program focuses primarily on identifying the safe evacuation routes away from those properties and how far inland you will be relatively safe. But then again, relatively safe means that's relatively safe because you do not know the intensity of the impact, and that would therefore the inundation zone would vary depending on the topography of the land and the knowledge of those persons who know where to go, how to get there in the shortest possible time.
Now, you mentioned you're targeting these properties. Obviously, designees of the owners or the managers or so on of the properties are the people you're looking to get on board. And this is coming off on May 30th. It's called Tsunami Ready for the West Coast, and it's a seminar. So talk to me about the people that you hope to see participating in this particular seminar.
Okay, a lot of the properties along the West Coast and indeed the South Coast are managed by realtors, real estate persons, and they have a cohort of persons who have an input into the actual management of these properties. They are the persons who are the decision-making position at this, and we are targeting them because they have to be able to understand how you can receive the warning, the official warning, what understanding of what the warning dictates that you should do, the level of training that your staff would have received to know what to do, when to do it, and how to do it, and also to be able to lead your guests to safety. So we are looking and targeting at the decision-making persons from the housekeeping right up to the general manager because it is a wide area of response and capacity that is needed. So it is not the manager alone, but those persons who, what are the various aspects of your emergency response plan, because the manager doesn't do everything. So it is a full scale to target those persons who will be making the appropriate decisions in a timely manner that you can lead your guests to safety.
All right. Is there any registration that's needed? Or
Yes.
are you just, oh, well, yes. So tell us more about that.
Registration closes on the 17th, which is the end of this week on Friday. And you could appreciate planning an event like this. There has to be a cutoff time because the hotel has to be able to know what numbers we're catering for. The space is limited, so we're asking persons to register as soon as possible. We are charging a meager $125, which in no way represents the value of it, but that charge is primarily to cover the expense of putting on it. We are not a profit organization, so we're just charging so that we can meet the expenses of actually producing the event.
Who will be presenting?
I will be one of the main presenters, and we also have another one of our business continuity professionals, Ms. Cheryl Griffith. She will also be assisting.
All right. So it comes off on May 30th from 9:30 in the morning till 12:30 in the afternoon. It will be at Tamarind Hotel, Paynes Bay in St. James. And you're going to have a consultant in the Department of Emergency Management, Selwyn Brooks, and another presenter sharing more on why we need to be tsunami ready for the West Coast. So calling all property managers and the various agencies that manage the various properties, of course, the owners as well. If you can reach out and share, I know there's a strong network among you. You definitely should reach out and share. 1,700 properties. I was surprised to hear that number. I haven't been counting, but I certainly wouldn't go to 1,700 between Bastrop and whole town. 1,700 properties. That's a lot. So hoping that quite a few of you will come out as we prepare for this hurricane season. I mean, we should be prepared already because we're kind of in the throes of things, but let's make sure that we are as ready as we can be. Good to see you, Selwyn. Sometimes I don't feel like saying that, particularly if there are things happening, but I feel like saying that this morning. So good to see you. Good to have you on Morning Barbados, and thanks for sharing.
Nice to be in here.
Morning, morning.